Welcome to Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. You are going to hear the stories from the eclectic life of a guy who is a professional counselor, a family man, a SWAT team chaplain, outdoor enthusiast, a guy involved with ropes, 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, a chaotic Jedi, and who is a recipient of an honorary doctorate from the University of Adversity. Using these stories, we take the facts lead to concepts, and from the concepts we make a variety of life applications. Just a caveat about the facts. Most of the time we will tell you the facts just the way it happened, but once in a while we'll give you the facts the way other people remember how it happened, and that usually includes a tablespoon of embellishment. No harm is meant, just good, clean fun for educational purposes. Please subscribe and share this with your friends or your enemies. It might help them to be better people if they listen. As always, we thank you for keeping up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. Introducing the Bible degree with digital ministry. Paul used the marketplace and the synagogue to reach an expanded audience. We have access to the internet and social media. I once heard it said that when McDonald's introduced the drive-through window, they did not change the Big Mac, only how it was delivered. Faulkner University is now offering a new digital ministry track for their Bible degree. Faulkner's degree provides training in understanding and teaching the gospel, alongside training that will allow students to create quality digital content. Opportunities for evangelism in the digital spaces is unlimited, and this is innovative ministry education for our contemporary culture. One of the instructors is a 2-time Emmy-winning former ESPN designer. Members of the Church of Christ could be eligible for the full tuition Jack Zorn Scholarship in order to pursue this special area of study. For more information, contact admissions at faulkner.edu. That is admissions at faulkner.edu. Faulkner University is a digital partner with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. Maybe you've heard or even used phrases that describe how simple or easy something is. Maybe you used phrases to describe how complex or difficult something is. For instance, like shooting fish in a barrel. Well, if you've never shot at anything that was submerged, that's not as easy as it sounds. It could be a little misleading. Like stealing acorns from a blind pig. I'm not sure that if one has ever not messed with pigs very much, that them not having eyesight makes them any more easy to abuse or any more safe to interact with. Like taking candy from a baby. Now, that's easy to do. It's just not easy to live with. Like my wife spending money on Amazon. Or maybe somebody would say it's as hard as Chinese arithmetic. And in all fairness, the Chinese may talk about how hard it is to learn English. We have so many things in English that are inconsistent. I before E except after C. By the way, science proves that wrong. Or what about this? Taking ice cream from a ninja. You probably didn't even know that was a thing, did you? I love ice cream. I'm really not supposed to have ice cream, but that doesn't keep me from loving it. I guess my relationship with ice cream started when I was a little boy at a Dairy Queen or a Dairy King in Oxford, Alabama. And then you learn that you can not only get burgers and fries at McDonald's, but they have a soft serve machine. Eventually, I graduated to Baskin-Robbins with their 30-something flavors in the ice cream parlor setting. I remember one beautiful spring Sunday morning, Brother Strickland showed up at church with his 3 teenage granddaughters. And being the benevolent, servant-minded young man that I was, I thought it my Christian responsibility to make the young ladies feel welcome and invited them, all 3 of them, to go out for Sunday afternoon ice cream. And then, of course, as the products changed, we got a Wendy's in our town, and the Wendy's Frosties, they show up way later on my timeline. And then eventually, the Chick-fil-A Frosted Lemonade. When I explain neural clusters, or the way we associate memories and experiences in our brains, I like to use ice cream as an example. For instance, when I say ice cream, your memories don't just stop at ice cream. but they also include ice cream related things: Wendy's, Mickey D's, Baskin Robbins, cones, cups, serial killers and child predators, and beat up vans and trucks that play vaguely creepy music, homemade ice cream freezers, whether they're hand turned or electric. You get the picture. In my ice cream cluster, my neural cluster associating things with ice cream, I always, when you say ice cream, I have a memory of my uncle EJ. And that was his name, EJ. If the E or the J ever stood for anything, I never knew it and don't know it now. He came to our house when I was a little boy. We lived in East Teboga, Alabama. He showed up one Saturday in this really cool two-door Dodge Charger, and he had brought the recipe for homemade ice cream with Fanta orange soda, so we could make homemade ice cream that was kind of an approximation of an orange sherbet. As the adults sat on the porch and made the ice cream, my brother and I sat in EJ's car and listened to his 8-track tape player and the Gunfighter songs by Marty Robbins. Ice cream also evokes memories of Aunt Linda and Uncle Ray. Uncle Ray built a dune buggy, and we would take rides in it with Aunt Linda. She would take us riding and get dipped cones in Lineville, Alabama. And then, of course, when I think of ice cream, I remember the Six Flags trip I went on as a member of my church youth group and was introduced to pralines and cream ice cream. Ice cream with caramel, New Orleans style praline pecans. From that day forward, I viewed the girl who introduced that to me as nothing less than an enchantress. But like I said, I'm not supposed to have ice cream. But I can have ice cream under some pretty specific conditions, one of those being if I get it from a ninja. Not just any ice cream, but the ice cream must be made by the ninja. Yes, ninjas make ice cream. Now, don't start thinking like a Jedi building his own lightsaber. And just for the record, ninja is not what they were called. If you look at the Japanese approximation of the original Chinese kanji characters, the onyomi, what you get is you combine the characters of nin, which means to endure or conceal or move stealthily, and ja, which means person. What they were actually called were shinobi no mono. This is an older, more traditional term, and that shows up as far as back as the 8th century. Ninja is kind of the 20th century modernization of the term, and it gained popularity in the mid-1960s thanks to the hosting of the Olympics by that country and also a very popular James Bond film. Now, even though this is highly prevalent in Japanese history, the characters and concept likely have their roots in Chinese strategies of espionage. In some thinking, the symbols for the ninja, the nin combines the symbol for the blade of a sword over a heart, representing a hidden heart, patience, and endurance, essential for spying. Now, what we call ninjas were skilled mercenaries. They were skilled spies and saboteurs in feudal Japan. In truth, they were more likely spies and less likely assassins than we think about. So before you get the idea of what I'm doing here, when you think about taking ice cream from a ninja, it might sound like some kind of James Bond, Johnny Jedi stuff, but in truth, it's surprisingly easy to get ice cream from a ninja, because before you get all concerned about my restrictions from grappling and envision me engaging in a running battle with black-clad warriors and dodging throwing stars and dudes who did parkour before parkour was cool, the ninja that I get my ice cream from is not the silent as a mist, speed of a glint shadow warrior. It's just a blender. It's a little kitchen thing called the Ninja. I was on the phone with Reed Swindle, and he told me about this kitchen gadget his family got him for his birthday present, and it's called a Ninja Creamy, and they spell creamy Creami. It's just like the Ninja Smoothie Blender, only it does not make smoothies. It makes ice cream. You can get soft serve or scoops or gelato or milkshakes. This thing is water to wine, manna from the sky level gadgetry. One simply mixes the ingredients, freezes the ingredients in this little container, puts that little container onto the machine, and then you run the frozen concoction through the ninja machine. No martial arts are employed in making, supplying, or serving this frozen treat. And in my mind, I guess they call these little machine ninjas because of the speed of the blades. And yeah, I said that out loud, and it sounded lame. So I looked it up. The company Shark Ninja was formerly called EuroPro, and it was named, and they used the name Ninja to invoke the image of the ninja, the stealthy, powerful, and fast. They attack tough tasks like crushing ice, cutting fruit, and blending smoothies with speed and power. I'm enjoying this device. I can't tell you how much I enjoy this device. I'm enjoying this device so much that I'm going to buy a used one that's broken and put it in another room. And this way, when I get ready to have some soft serve ice cream, I'll go to the broken machine and say, I'd like some soft serve ice cream. And then I'll tell myself, yeah, but our machine is broke. And I have to go to the next room to get ice cream. And that way I can feel like I'm at McDonald's. So, yeah, a little exaggeration can go a long way. It's fun to say that I get my frozen treats from a ninja. But once you know that it's not a legendary warrior, but simply a machine, you may want to cue up the machine that says wah, wah, wah instead of wah. Maybe we are all guilty of a little exaggeration at some point in time. You know, as part of the disclaimer when we play the intro to the podcast, we are forthright about the fact that embellishments can and do creep into our stories. But at this point, I'm not talking about embellishment, creative writing, or poetic license. I'm talking about the things that we use on purpose for sensationalism or inflammatory language, and we use that kind of rhetoric to justify, excuse, attack, or justify an attack position, or even sometimes use that type of language as a defense mechanism. Preferring American cheese over Swiss cheese does not make one racist. Not liking Thai food at all does not make me prejudiced. Holding a conviction that something is immoral, not wise, or simply disagreeing with a lifestyle choice doesn't make one phobic, intolerant, or a purveyor of hate speech. Inconvenience does not equal suffering. Playing a contact sport should not be seen as combat, and the children of men who play them should not be called warriors. Being teased is not the same as being bullied. Someone being harsh or rude is not actually what we're talking about when we say psychological, emotional, or spiritual abuse. Just because something makes one person uncomfortable doesn't make the other person unscriptural. Nervous is not the same as anxiety. And by the way, nervous and excited are the exact same thing physiologically. Having the decision-making skills of a squirrel crossing the road doesn't qualify someone as ADD or ADHD. Little boys act like little boys because little boys are little boys, and they don't like to sit in a chair longer than it takes them to eat. Liking things in order, needing some structure, or being a little bit overly organized is not the same thing as OCD or obsessive-compulsive disorder, or even obsessive-compulsive personality. Experiencing or witnessing something unpleasant, disappointing, or disruptive, or even dangerous does not have to be called trauma. And if you do call it trauma, it doesn't mean it has to affect you the rest of your mortal days. There is such a thing as post-traumatic stress disorder, but there's also just plain old post-traumatic stress. There's post-traumatic stress injury, and there's post-traumatic growth. Disappointment is not the same as depression. One can be sad and normal. One does not have to be sad and then always say that they're depressed. Having a disagreement, a different opinion, or even a different interpretation of events and facts does not mean we are necessarily fighting. We just have a difference. Difference is not the occasion for love to stop. It's the occasion for love to exist. Wanting people to obey the law is not hatred nor inhumane. No one, and And I mean, no one, not even the most soft-hearted person, would be okay if people without the proper tickets, fees, arrangements, and reservations suddenly boarded your flight, your next cruise ship, or showed up at your Airbnb. Finding an inconsistency in Christians does not make Christianity wrong, false, or evil. Ad nauseum, ad infinitum, and add to the list any overreaction, underreaction, or catastrophizing you are familiar with, or that you've seen on TV, social media, the internet, or you've heard espoused by the uninformed, the manipulative, or the disingenuous. We have a strong tendency to treat similar as same. It's just how our brains work. But in truth, all snakes are not venomous. Every flying insect does not sting. The fact that I can find one bad teacher, one bad cop, one bad male, one bad female, one bad coach, priest, pastor, or politician does not by default make them all mad. And just because I disagree with someone on one point doesn't mean I totally disagree with everything they stand for. Our brains do the similar same thing naturally, and our brains do similar equals same in our pursuit of pleasure and the avoidance of pain. The similar same dynamic is used for rationalization, and then it gets used for exaggeration and catastrophization. Oh, by the way, I'm not really eating ice cream. You see, I mix together a sugar-free pudding mix, the flavor of the day. I mix in an egg, a protein shake, and heavy whipping cream, and I leave it in the freezer. After it freezes, I give the container to the ninja, and when the ninja is through with it, I have this frozen treat. Now, this frozen treat has the same composition and texture as ice cream or a shake or a gelato or a sorbet or light ice cream, but it's not actually ice cream. It's a frozen treat, but it's not ice cream. It has very few actual ice cream ingredients in it, but I like to call it ice cream because that's what I want it to be. I call it ice cream because it makes me feel better about it at the time. I call it ice cream because that label makes it easier to serve to my guest. And I call it ice cream because it makes it easier to swallow. We must be careful how much generalization we mix into our thinking or our speaking. If we do not carefully manage the proportions of truth, opinion, reaction, confirmation bias, and emotion that we mix into our formula, our conclusions may be altered by the mix and presentation, and what we get looks, feels, and even taste like the thing we want it to be or the thing we're passionate about. But it is probably not a blend of truth, logic, facts, and reasoning, but merely just a mixture created by the mixed up. Using the tool of shortwave radio, World Christian Broadcasting literally covers the world every day with the gospel. They use two large curtain antennas. One is located in Anchor Point, Alaska, and the other in Madagascar. They send out messages that are recorded at their international home in Franklin, Tennessee. They make available 40 hours of broadcast every day. The broadcasts are made in English, Chinese, Russian, Spanish, Portuguese, Korean, English for Africa, and Arabic. They would love for your group to visit them. You can bring your ladies group, your youth group, or your men's group. Just give them a call at 615-371-8707, 615-371-8707, or you can go to 3Ws and a dot, worldchristian.org, find the Donate Here button, and make a financial contribution to support this work that literally covers the world every day with the gospel. World Christian Broadcasting, in cooperation with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure.